Ma'am, come with me. We got a fraud report.
Look, I'm just shopping. My card is fine.
That's what they all say. I know a fake.
Call the bank, sir. Clear this up.
Sure. In custody. Hands behind your back. Now.
Wait, this is a mistake. I am an agent.
Officer Marcus Thorne had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 48 hours, his department would be served with a $4.2 million federal lawsuit. His employment would be suspended, and a national news firestorm would expose the mall's security protocols as a civil rights nightmare. The suspicious shopper he just handcuffed was Special Agent Elena Rostova, a 12-year veteran of the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Agent Rostova specialized in credit card fraud investigations and had personally taken down 3 interstate identity theft rings worth over $18 million. She testified before Congress twice. Her credentials were impeccable, her record spotless, and her credit card, the one Thorne claimed was obviously fake, was legitimately issued by Citibank, and the mall's 14 security cameras were capturing everything. Before I continue, have you ever been wrongly accused while just going about your day? Drop your story in the comments. But Marcus Thorne had no idea who he was handcuffing. Special Agent Elena Rostova was 38 years old, a senior supervisory special agent in the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, working out of the Chicago field office 12 years with the Bureau, a master's degree in forensic accounting from Northwestern University. Before the FBI, she'd served as a federal prosecutor with the United States Attorney's Office. Agent Rostova had led the task force that dismantled an $18 million interstate credit card fraud ring back in 2019. She testified before Congress twice on financial crimes prevention. She'd personally trained over 200 law enforcement officers in fraud detection techniques. She'd served as an expert witness in 47 federal fraud cases. Her record was spotless. And on this Saturday afternoon in November of 2023, she was off duty, Christmas shopping for her niece's birthday at Oakridge Center Mall in suburban Illinois. Just a normal errand, the kind of thing millions of Americans do every weekend without a second thought. On November 18th, 2023, Agent Rostova was just trying to buy a gift and get home before her niece's party. She had no idea she was about to become the victim in a case that would expose systemic problems in private security nationwide. Marcus Thorne had a reputation at Oakridge Center Mall, and it wasn't a good one. 34 years old, head of mall security for 6 years. Before that, he tried to become a police officer twice. Both times, he failed the psychological evaluation. He had no formal law enforcement training beyond a 40-hour private security course. Internal mall records would later reveal 23 suspicious activity detentions in the previous 18 months. 21 of them involved Black or Latino shoppers. That's 91%. 0 resulted in actual arrests by police. March 2023, he detained a Black teenager for allegedly stealing a jacket the kid had purchased 20 minutes earlier. The receipt proved it. The parents threatened a lawsuit. The mall settled quietly. July 2023, he accused a Latina mother of using fake currency. The bills were authentic. She filed a complaint. Thorne received a verbal warning that was never documented. September 2023, he confronted an elderly Black man about suspicious behavior. The man was a retired judge waiting for his wife. The judge contacted mall management. No discipline followed. Store employees called him Deputy Marcus. Mockingly, multiple complaints had been filed with mall management, all ignored. He was known for aggressive posturing, hand always on his taser. He referred to himself as basically a cop. Corporate Human Resources had 3 formal complaints sitting in their files. And on November 18, 2023, Marcus Thorne's pattern was about to collide with someone who actually knew the law. Let me know in the comments if you think companies should be held responsible when they ignore warning signs like this. Saturday, November 18, 2023, 2:47 in the afternoon, Oakridge Center Mall, Schaumburg, Illinois, a 3-story suburban shopping center with 180 stores. Moderate Saturday afternoon crowd. The holiday shopping season had just begun. Christmas music played over the PA. Families browsed. Children pointed excitedly at window displays. Normal retail energy. The security office sat on the second floor, overlooking the main atrium. Agent Rostova had been shopping in Macy's. She just made a purchase, a birthday present for her niece, $127.43. The cashier was Chloe Bennett, 23, a part-time college student. The store manager, Sarah Jenkins, 41, was nearby organizing inventory. Approximately 30 to 40 other customers were in the store a normal Saturday afternoon. Marcus Thorne was monitoring security cameras from his office. At 2:43, he noticed Agent Rostova making her purchase with a credit card. According to his later testimony, something about the transaction looked off. What looked off he couldn't specify, The transaction had been approved normally. No alert, no flag, no suspicious behavior. But Thorne decided something was wrong. He called his security partner. I'm checking on something. Second floor Macy's. At 2:47, Thorne approached Agent Rostova as she was leaving Macy's. She was carrying her shopping bag heading toward the food court. Ma'am, excuse me, mall security. I need to ask you some questions. Agent Rostova stopped confused. Is something wrong? Thorne stepped closer. I need to see the card you just used. Other shoppers started to notice. Sarah Jenkins heard the commotion and started walking toward the front. That's when everything changed. What should have been a simple misunderstanding was about to become a constitutional crisis, because Marcus Thorne had already decided Elena Rostova was guilty. If stories like this matter to you, make sure you're subscribed because we cover cases like this every week. I need to see your credit card, the one you just used at the register. Why? The transaction went through fine. Is there a problem with the store, ma'am? I'm not asking. I'm telling you. Show me the card. I don't understand. What's this about? Thorne's voice got louder. We've received reports about fraudulent card activity in this mall. Your transaction raised flags. Flags? What kind of flags? The card was approved. I've been doing this for 6 years. I know a fake card when I see one. Agent Rostova stared at him. You didn't even see my card. Are you refusing to cooperate with the security investigation? No. I'm trying to understand what you're accusing me of. Can we just call the bank? Thorne smirked. Sure. After you're in custody. Custody? You can't detain me for using my own credit card. Thorne stepped closer. Put your hands behind your back. Wait. This is a mistake. I work in. I don't care where you work, lady. You're not going anywhere until the real police get here. Then call them right now because this is illegal detention. You can tell them that when they arrive, turn around. I'm not resisting. I'm telling you you're making a serious mistake. Thorne grabbed her arm. The only mistake is you thinking you could use that card in my mall. Agent Rostova's voice stayed level. Take your hand off me. I am a federal agent. Sarah Jenkins, the store manager, reached them. Marcus, what's going on? Is there a problem? A shopper nearby pulled out their phone recording. This is crazy. She didn't even do anything. Another shopper spoke up. Why are you grabbing her like that? Thorne pulled out handcuffs. Agent Rostova maintained her composure, but the tension was visible. Her voice elevated just enough that 15 to 20 people were now watching. Cell phones came out, multiple people recording. Thorne's radio crackled. Marcus, what's your status? Thorne pressed the button. I've got a suspect detained requesting police backup. What Marcus Thorne didn't know was that federal agent wasn't a bluff, and in about 90 seconds his entire career was going to implode. I'm going to reach into my jacket pocket slowly and show you my credentials. Do not interpret this as resistance. Thorne looked skeptical. Yeah, okay, real slow. Agent Rostova pulled out her FBI badge and credentials, the gold shield, the official ID card. Thorne looked at them and smirked. Anyone can buy a fake badge online. That badge number is verifiable. Call the Chicago field office right now. Sure, after the police confirm you're actually who you say you are. My name is Special Agent Elena Rostova. My badge number is 847 JK2156. I'm a senior supervisory special agent in the Financial Crimes Division. The card I used is legitimately mine, issued by Citibank. And if you had done literally any actual investigation instead of profiling me, you would know that. Thorne got defensive. I don't profile anyone. I respond to suspicious activity. What activity? I made a purchase. The card was approved. I have a receipt. What exactly was suspicious? Sarah Jenkins stepped forward. Marcus, I processed that transaction myself. There was nothing unusual about it. The card went through normally. Chloe Bennett rushed over. I helped her. She was super nice. She bought a birthday present for her niece. There wasn't any problem. David Clark, an accountant in his 50s, spoke up. I've been watching this whole thing. She didn't do anything wrong. You targeted her the second she walked out of the store. Maya Robinson, a teacher, shook her head. This is racial profiling. That's what this is. She's black and shopping, and you decided she must be a criminal. Another shopper held up their phone. This is going online. Everyone's going to see this. 7 different cell phones were recording now. The mall's 14 security cameras captured every angle. The timestamps showed everything. 2:47 to 2:54. 7 minutes of escalation based on nothing. At 2:54, Cook County Police were dispatched. Officers Davis and Miller arrived at 3:02:08 minutes. Sergeant Brenda Walsh arrived at 3:05. Officer Davis approached Thorne. What do you have suspected credit card fraud? She refused to cooperate. Davis turned to Agent Rostova. Ma'am, can you tell me what happened? Agent Rostova held up her credentials. Davis's expression changed immediately. Sergeant Walsh, you need to see this. Sergeant Walsh examined the credentials. She pressed her radio. Dispatch run badge number 847, JK2156, FBI. 90 seconds later, the response came through. That's a valid FBE badge. Agent is active status. Chicago field office. The color drained from Marcus Thorne's face. I didn't know. She could have just showed me. Agent Rostova's voice cut through. I showed you my credentials. You called them fake. Sergeant Walsh turned to Thorne. Marcus, step back now. By now, Marcus Thorne was starting to understand how badly he'd miscalculated, but understanding wasn't going to save his job. It wasn't going to stop the federal lawsuit, and it definitely wasn't going to stop the video that was already uploading to Twitter. Type justice in the comments if you think he got what he deserved. Sergeant Brenda Walsh had 16 years with Cook County Police. Mall security supervisor Kevin O'Connor arrived from corporate. Richard Vance, the mall's general manager, rushed to the scene, and at 3:35, FBI Special Agent Thomas Reed, Agent Rostova's partner, arrived. She texted him at 2:58. Sergeant Walsh pulled up the mall security footage. I'm seeing a normal transaction, a shopper leaving the store and your officer approaching her with zero visible probable cause. O'Connor reviewed the security logs. Marcus, what triggered your response? There's no alert in the system, Thorne stammered. Something looked off. O'Connor's voice hardened. That's not a policy reason. What specifically looked off? Officer Davis interviewed witnesses, 4 statements all corroborated Agent Rostova's account. Sarah Jenkins provided transaction records. Everything was clean. Walsh crossed her arms. You said you received reports about fraudulent card activity. Where are those reports? O'Connor checked his logs. There are no reports, no fraud alerts, not one. He looked at Thorne. You made that up. Thorne tried again. The transaction raised flags in our system. Sarah Jenkins held up her tablet. The store system shows normal approval, no flags. The bank confirmed it's a legitimate card. Walsh turned her tablet around. The security footage showed Agent Rostova shopping, normally browsing, making a purchase, walking calmly. I see nothing suspicious in this footage. What I see is you profiling her. You do not have probable cause. You do not have reasonable suspicion. You have unlawfully detained a federal agent based on nothing. O'Connor held out his hand. Marcus, you're suspended effective immediately. Badge and radio. Now Thorne handed them over. Richard Vance looked pale. We'll be cooperating fully with any investigation. FBI Special Agent Reed stepped forward. Agent Rostova, are you injured? Agent Rostova shook her head. I'm fine, but I want this documented federal report. Reed turned to Walsh. We'll be filing a formal complaint. Agent Rostova will be pursuing legal action. Thorne tried one last time. I was just doing my job. How was I supposed to know she was FBI? Walsh cut him off. You unlawfully detained a federal agent. You physically grabbed her. You ignored her credentials. There's no working this out. Agent Rostova gave a formal statement. 7 witness statements were collected. Cell phone videos were confiscated as evidence. The mall security footage. All 14 angles was secured. Agent Rostova was visibly shaken but composed. I've investigated cases like this. I never thought I'd be the victim in one, but the consequences were just beginning. At 3:41, exactly 54 minutes after Marcus Thorne first approached Elena Rostova, a 2-minute, 14-second video was uploaded to Twitter with the caption, FBI agent unlawfully detained by mall cop for shopping while black. This is America. If you think cases like this deserve more attention, hit subscribe, because we're not stopping. 3:41 in the afternoon, the video was posted to Twitter by David Clark. His handle was at @DavidC_witness. By 4:15, 12,000 views and 400 retweets. By 5:00, 89,000 views. Trending locally in Illinois and Chicago. By 6:33, 140,000 views. Sean King retweeted it. Bakari Sellers retweeted it. By 8 o'clock, local news crews were at the mall. By 11 that night, 1.2 million views, trending number 3 nationally. By Sunday morning, 4.7 million views across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. The original tweet hit 4.7 million views, 89,000 retweets, 340,000 likes. On Instagram, Charlemagne the God and Jada Pinkett Smith reposted it. Combined 2.1 million views. On TikTok, 47 different reposts. The largest hit, 3.8 million views. On Facebook, shared 127,000 times. On Reddit front page, with 67,000 upvotes combined. The comments poured in. A civil rights attorney tweeted, "This is textbook racial profiling plus illegal detention. She showed federal credentials and he still didn't believe her." Mark Lamont Hill wrote, "An FBI agent with credentials, and he decided she was a criminal anyway. Imagine what happens to black people without badges." Senator Cory Booker posted, "Unacceptable. Agent Rostova deserves an apology and full accountability." Steve Harvey tweeted, "She was shopping for her niece. This could be any of us." By Sunday evening, CNN, SBC News were covering it. By Monday morning today, show Good Morning America. Fox News had segments. CNN FBC agent detained by mall security while shopping lawsuit filed. Washington Post, black FBI agents unlawful detention highlights racial profiling. NPR, federal agent sues mall after being accused of credit card fraud. Oakridge Center Mall issued a statement Sunday morning. "We are deeply troubled and are conducting a full investigation. The security officer has been suspended by Monday afternoon. Updated Marcus Thorne's employment has been terminated. We are reviewing all security protocols." Thorne tried to post a Facebook apology Monday night. "I made a mistake in judgment." The comments were brutal. Thousands of angry responses. He disabled comments in 4 minutes. Deleted the post in 20. He hired a crisis PR firm Tuesday. No further public statements. 3 days later, on November 21st, Marcus Thorne received a federal lawsuit filed in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, naming him Oakridge Center Mall and Pinnacle Management Group, LLC. The dollar amount, $4.2 million. Comment below what you think he should have to pay. Special Agent Elena Rostova was the plaintiff. The defendants Marcus Thorne, individually Oakridge Center Mall and Pinnacle Management Group, LLC. The lawsuit was filed under Title 42, Section 1983, Violation of Constitutional Rights. It also cited Title II of the Civil Rights Act for racial discrimination, along with state claims for false imprisonment assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress. November 21st, 2023. United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. During discovery, Agent Rostova's attorneys subpoenaed mall security records. Marcus Thorne had made 23 previous detentions in 18 months. 21 involved people of color, 91%. 3 prior formal complaints had been filed with HR, all ignored. Thorne's personnel file revealed he'd failed police psych evaluations twice. The mall had provided no meaningful anti-bias training. Corporate emails showed management was aware of complaints, but took no action. The lawsuit was filed November 21st, 2023. Discovery ran January through March 2024. Settlement talks began April. On May 14th, 2024, a settlement was reached. $4.2 million. $2.5 million in compensatory damages. $1.5 million in punitive damages. $187,000 in attorney's fees paid by Pinnacle Management Group, 70%, and insurance carriers, 30%. Marcus Thorne was personally liable for $50,000. He tried to file bankruptcy. The court denied it. The social consequences were immediate. Thorne was banned from employment in private security in Illinois. Industry-wide voluntary blacklist. Banned from Oakridge Center Mall and all Pinnacle Management Group properties. 72 locations nationwide for life. Permanent restraining order. 500 feet from Agent Rostova at all times. His professional life collapsed. Fired November 20th, 2023. Illinois security guard license revoked. December. Couldn't find security work. Every background check flagged the lawsuit. Last known employment as of November 2024. Warehouse work at hourly wage. Lost any chance of law enforcement permanently. Cook County State's attorney declined criminal charges citing civil resolution. FBI Civil Rights Division reviewed the case, issued a formal letter of concern to the Private Security Industry Illinois legislature, introduced the Private Security Accountability Act, inspired by this case still pending. May 15, 2024. Thorne released a brief statement through his attorney. Mr. Thorne acknowledges his errors in judgment and apologizes for the distress caused to Agent Rostova. It came only after the settlement was finalized. Widely seen as legally required, not genuine, no personal outreach to Rostova, deleted all social media. Agent Rostova held a press conference May 14th. This settlement is not just about me. It's about every black person who's been profiled, detained, harassed while doing something as simple as shopping. I had a badge and credentials, and it still didn't matter to him. What happens to people who don't have that power? This has to change. But the story didn't end with money. 5 days later, Agent Elena Rostova stood in front of cameras at a press conference organized by the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and what she said would become a rallying cry. The press conference was held at NAACP Legal Defense Fund headquarters in Chicago, Illinois, May 19, 2024. Agent Rostova stood at a podium surrounded by civil rights attorneys and retail worker advocates. 12 media outlets had microphones set up. I'm an FBI agent. I've testified before Congress. I've taken down criminal enterprises. And in that moment in that mall, I felt powerless. I felt humiliated. I felt reduced to nothing but the color of my skin. For weeks after, I couldn't walk into a store without looking over my shoulder. I questioned every interaction. That's what this kind of profiling does. It doesn't just violate your rights in that moment, it stays with you. She paused. I investigate financial crimes. I know the law. I had resources attorneys, platform colleagues who supported me. But I think about the single mother who gets accused of shoplifting while buying groceries. The teenager followed around a store because of what he's wearing. The elderly man questioned for acting suspicious while waiting for his wife. They don't have FBI badges. They don't have the power I have. And they face this every single day. Her voice got stronger. To every retail worker, security officer, manager, you do not have the right to detain someone based on a hunch. You do not have the right to put your hands on someone because you feel like something's wrong. There are laws. There are constitutional protections. Ignorance is not an excuse. And to the public, respect is not optional. Dignity is not earned. It's owed. You don't get to treat workers like servants. And workers don't get to treat customers like criminals. She leaned forward. I want mandatory anti-bias training for all private security personnel. Real training, not a 20-minute video. I want accountability. No more internal investigations that go nowhere. No more complaints filed and forgotten. I want a cultural shift where we stop assuming the worst about people who don't look like us. She looked into the cameras. Marcus Thorne didn't see me as a federal agent. He didn't see me as a professional, a sister, a daughter, an aunt. He saw a black woman with a credit card and assumed I was a criminal. That assumption cost him his career and cost his employers $4.2 million. But more importantly, it cost our society a little more trust. And we don't have much left to lose. But this case exposed something bigger. Something that reaches far beyond one mall, one security guard, one unlawful detention. It exposed a system, and that system is still broken. A 2022 NAACP study found that 53% of black Americans reported being followed or treated with suspicion while shopping in the previous year. For white Americans, 16%. The National Retail Federation reported in 2023 that private security officers made approximately 1.2 million customer detentions annually. 68% resulted in no charges. That means hundreds of thousands of people detained for nothing. An ACLU analysis showed black shoppers are 2.7 times more likely to be stopped by security than white shoppers, and only 14 states require anti-bias training for private security licenses. Average training requirement 8 to 40 hours total. Police officers get 600 hours or more. This case was different. Agent Rostova had FBI credentials and legal expertise, and it still didn't protect her. The incident was fully documented. 14 camera angles. She was a high-profile victim with a platform. She had legal resources to pursue a $4.2 million lawsuit. Most victims can't afford that. Media attention forced a corporate response. Most cases get buried internally. The result, if it can happen to an FBI agent with credentials, imagine how often it happens to everyone else. What causes this cultural entitlement? The customer is always right, morphed into security. Can detain anyone on a hunch. Structural policies. Private security lacks accountability structures. No body cameras. No civilian review boards. Minimal training legal gaps. Private security operates in a gray area, not law enforcement, so no warrant requirements, but they wield power to detain under citizens, arrest laws that vary by state. Economic power imbalance. Malls prioritize loss prevention over civil rights. Security guards sometimes get bonuses for catches incentivizing aggression. Implicit bias combined with authority. Unconscious racial bias plus legal authority to detain equals predictable discriminatory enforcement. After the settlement, some things changed. Pinnacle Management Group implemented mandatory 16-hour anti-bias training for all security staff with quarterly refreshers. Body cameras required for all security officers. The International Association of Security Companies issued new detention guidelines. 14 major mall operators over 400 properties adopted similar policies. Rostova versus Pinnacle Management Group has been cited in 8 subsequent civil rights cases. Illinois courts now apply heightened scrutiny to reasonable suspicion claims by private security, but 3 major gaps remain: no federal licensing standards. Private security training varies wildly. No mandatory reporting. Security detentions and complaints aren't tracked nationally. Nobody's counting, and there's a qualified immunity equivalent. Security companies shield guards from personal liability through insurance and corporate protection. This case asks bigger questions. When did we normalize treating shoppers like suspects? Who watches the watchers when they're not police but wield police-like authority? Why does it take a $4.2 million lawsuit to get basic reforms? What does it say that an FBI agent can show credentials and still not be believed because of her race? This story has been shared millions of times. If you think more people need to see it, share it right now. So let me ask you, do we really believe private security guards should have the power to detain people based on hunches with less training than it takes to become a barber? Do we really believe that accountability should only come when someone has an FBI badge and the resources to file a $4.2 million lawsuit? Do we really believe that in 2024, a black woman shopping for her niece's birthday present should have to prove she's not a criminal? Because if we don't demand federal standards for private security training, if we don't require body cameras and independent oversight, if we don't hold corporations accountable for the guards they hire and the power they give them, then we're just waiting for the next Marcus Thorne, the next Elena Rostova, the next viral video that outrages us for 48 hours before we scroll past and forget. Comment below. Do you think private security should face the same accountability standards as police? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're going to keep exposing these patterns. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for accountability, for dignity, for a system where shopping while black doesn't come with the risk of handcuffs. This isn't just about one mall cop who let his bias destroy his career. This isn't just about one FBI agent who had to file a federal lawsuit to be treated with basic respect. It's about all of us and the system we are willing to tolerate. And I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to tolerate this anymore.